All right, so today's topic, savvy social security planning for couples. A little bit about me. My name is Rachel Gustafson. I am a certified financial planner with Financial Investment Team. We really focus on holistic financial planning and financial education. So normally we do in-person seminars where we talk about different topics like Social Security. Due to the pandemic and social distancing, we've moved our offerings online. So we have been dedicated to trying to do one monthly webinar where we teach you about a different topic. So this month is Social Security planning for couples. My goal is always to inform and educate you so that you can understand how critical financial planning topics affect you and your family, and you can make more informed decisions. A big thing about Social Security is and what I tell all my clients, when you walk into that office, you really want to know exactly what you're asking for. You want to be educated, you want to know your options. Social Security is huge. It's complex, and when you walk into the office, they're going to give you the facts as of that date. They aren't going to sit down and look at your entire plan and all of the factors that affect you. So it's really important that before you actually take the plunge and apply for Social Security, that you understand what you're applying for. So today we're going to talk about savvy Social Security planning for couples. It's a really important part of financial planning. Although Social Security benefits are paid to individuals, the rules for spousal and survivor benefits mean that husbands and wives need to coordinate their benefits, making their claiming decisions as a couple. So you'll see what I mean as we go along. Before we get started, I'm going to ask a quick poll question. You're going to see it pop up on your screen. Have you or your spouse started collecting Social Security? It's a pretty basic yes or no question. Take a second to answer that. Just gives me an idea of who I have on the call today. Okay, it looks like 62% have not started claiming, so you'll get some really great information today, and 38% have, so you'll get great information as well. Thank you for sharing. All right. So to get us started, we're going to start with some Social Security history. Social Security was first signed into law in 1935. It was really designed to give retirees who had worked all their lives a basic level of income during retirement. Here they are signing it into law. In 1939, benefits for spouses, survivors, and minor children were added. So you have to remember that back in those days, married women didn't work. So the spousal benefit was added to give wives 50% of their husband's benefit, even if they had never worked outside the home. If the worker dies at a young age, benefits are paid to children until they are 18, and the mother also gets a benefit while caring for the children. The mother's benefits stop when the child turns 16, and then they resume again when she turns full retirement age. It's actually a really great example of a client that I was working with who thought that she had already used her Social Security benefit. Her husband had passed away when her children were young. Her benefit turned off when her kids turned 16, and she thought she had already used it. So when we started talking about her survivor benefit and when to take it, she said, but I've already used it. And that was just some misinformation that the office had given her. They didn't clarify that while it has ended now, it will restart again when you claim it after 60. So just another situation where it's really, really important to talk to someone who understands the Social Security network and how it works and the benefits that that you might be eligible for. Social Security designers probably didn't ever think retirees would have young children, but the same rules apply. So if you are old enough to collect Social Security retirement benefits and you have minor children, your kids can receive benefits too. Now, you have to be careful here. In order for the kids to get benefits, you have to file for your own benefit. It doesn't usually make sense to file for a permanently reduced benefit at 62, even if it would give your kids an extra 4 years worth of children's benefits. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'll come back and see me if this situation applies to you. So first I want to point out how valuable Social Security is. So it's one of the benefits that you can't outlive. If you're worried about running out of personal assets in your old age, you don't have to worry about that with Social Security because it continues until you die. The longer you live, the more you get out of the system. And so in this example, if your monthly benefit is $2,000 today and you live 10 or more years, you're going to get approximately almost $300,000. If you live 20 years or more, it's about double that. 30 years or more, triple that. So the longer you live, the more in assets you're going to receive. And this is also assuming a 2% annual cost of living adjustment. We'll talk about that here in a minute. So second, Social Security offers an annual inflation adjustment. We call this cost of living adjustment, COLA. So if your benefit starts out at $2,000 today, on average, you're looking at about a 2% increase every year. So this is just giving you an example of in 10 years, your benefit could grow from $2,000 to $2,438 with that cost of living adjustment. 20 years, it's a little bit higher, 30 years, even higher. There's no way of knowing exactly what the COLA is going to be, but 2% is a reasonable estimate. In 2019, it was 2.8%. In 2020 and 2021, it was 1.3%. So 2% is just an average that we were going with. A couple of terms that you need to understand. Full retirement age is a Social Security term, and it describes the age at which you can start receiving full, unreduced Social Security benefits. Full retirement age used to be 65 for everyone, but in 1983, Congress raised the full retirement age, so it's gradually being phased out. This graph just shows an example. If you were born between 43 and 54, your full retirement age is 66. Anywhere between 54 and 60, you're 66 and some odd number of months. And then if you were born 1960 or later, you're simply 67 is your full retirement age. So the reason for the increase, people are living longer. When Social Security was established, life expectancy for males was 60. For females, it was 61. Now it's in the 80s and 90s, depending on when you were born. So that's an additional 20 to 30 years. Social Security wasn't factoring in when they created it. They were assuming that people were living to their 60s. So a lot has changed, and they have realized that we need to push the full retirement age a little bit later. The next important concept to understand is your primary insurance amount, or PIA. So Social Security benefits are based on your work history. The formula is complicated, so I'm not going to get into the details, but the important thing is it's based on your 35 highest earning years. You need to have at least 10 to be eligible for Social Security, and then beyond that, they're just looking at the 35 highest years of earnings. The more you earn each year, up to the annual Social Security maximum, which this year is $142,800, the higher your benefit will be. So for example, if you make $150,000, you are paying Social Security up to $142,800. Beyond that, you're not paying into Social Security. Social Security continues to update your earnings record, even if you're working into your 60s and 70s. And even after you've claimed your Social Security benefit, you're still growing that benefit by working. So if you're wondering how to increase it after you've already taken it, one of the things you can do is continue working. To find your primary insurance amount, you're going to look at your benefit statement. So you go to ssa.gov, you'll create a username and login. You'll answer some security questions. The important part is remembering those security questions, because if you forget them, trying to get back in can really drive you crazy. But you're going to create an online ID. You're going to pull your benefits statement. It's going to look, this is just a piece of what it looks like, but it's going to list your full retirement age. And so for this example, we're looking at someone whose full retirement age is 66, and their PIA is $2,029 a month. So if they take their Social Security at their full retirement age of 66, this is what they'll receive. So your PIA is not your actual benefit unless you apply for Social Security at your exact full retirement age. That's going to be 66 or 67. So in this example, we're looking at someone whose full retirement age is 66 and what happens if you take a benefit early. So if you decide, you know what, I really want to take Social Security early, I'm going to take it at 62, which is the earliest that you can take it. You're going to get paid out 75% of your benefit. And that, again, that's if your full retirement age is 66. So 25% reduction. If your benefit was supposed to be $2,400, then you're looking at getting about $1,800 a month. The important thing here is this is a permanent reduction. So there's often this misconception, oh, I'm going to file early, and then when I turn full retirement age, I'm going to get my full benefit at that point. And that's not how it works. You are taking a permanent 25% reduction for the rest of the time that you take Social Security. So really important to understand that. And it's a little bit less of a reduction every year that you get closer to full retirement age. So in this example, at 63, you're getting 80% of your benefits and so on until you reach 66, which is 100%. So if you take your Social Security benefit at 66, you get 100% of your benefit. This is basically the same graph, but this is if your Social Security full retirement age is 67. At 62, you're actually taking a bigger reduction. You're taking a 30% reduction as opposed to 25%. So important to keep in mind. So several reasons not to file before full retirement age. The biggest reason that we just saw is you're taking a permanent reduction. Also, there's an earnings test if you work. So if you are working and you take Social Security benefits early, $1 in benefits is going to be withheld for every $2 that you earn over the threshold. This year it's $18,960. So if you make more than $18,960 and you've claimed Social Security, for example, this year you turned 62, claim Social Security, and let's just say you made $40,000. It's about $21,000 over what they want you to be making. Then $10,500 of it is going to be withheld, so about half. So it's really important to keep this in mind if you're thinking about claiming early and you're also working. Then you're looking at a potential, they'll withhold a certain amount based on how much more over that $18,960 that you claim, that you make. And that the withheld part is, I'm going to explain this. So it's not as if it's going away forever. They're withholding. So if you start claiming at 62 and you make too much money and they start withholding from your Social Security, when you turn full retirement age, they're going to take that total amount that they withheld over the number of years that you had taken Social Security early. They're going to take that total amount, let's just say it was $25,000. They're going to take that $25,000 and they're going to average it out over your life expectancy and add it back to your benefit. So you're going to get it back, but if your life expectancy is into your 90s, it's not going to be a very big bump, but just an important note. There are certain spousal strategies that are being phased out, but they are still available to people born in 1953 or earlier. But if you file before full retirement age, you can't take advantage of them. So if your birth date was before 1953 or before, come see me or Diana, and we'll talk to you about what those strategies are that you can use. Finally, if you're a high earning spouse of the family, filing for early reduced benefits is going to reduce your spouse's survivor benefit if you die first. This is one of the most important reasons not to file for Social Security before full retirement age. We're going to look at this a little more here shortly. So let's look at the opposite end of this. What if you apply after full retirement age? So if you file after full retirement age, you're going to earn a delayed credit of 8% per year. up to age 70. Beyond that, there's no delayed credit, but before that, there is. So in this example, if your full retirement age is, highlighter here, if your full retirement age is 66, and you take Social Security at 66, then it's 100% benefit. Each year beyond your full retirement age that you delay, you're getting an additional 8%. So you can see 108% here, 116%, 124%, up to 132%. So you can take your full benefit, your primary insurance amount, from $2,400 to $3,168 if you simply wait to take your Social Security. This is without cost of living adjustments. So by the time you actually get to 70, your benefit's going to be higher than this if this were the example that we were looking at, because this is not assuming cost of living. And this example just shows if your full retirement age was 67. So if your full retirement age is 67, unfortunately, you only have an additional 3 years of delayed credits that you can get, but they're still there up to age 70. I often get asked, what is the maximum benefit that I can even receive from Social Security? So for someone who files at age 70, it's $3,895. So that's if you're paying the maximum into Social Security for those 35 years. That's the maximum you can get. For someone who files at full retirement age, it's $3,148. So that's the max that you can receive out of Social Security, depending on what you're putting in, if you're putting in the max. So when should you apply? Remember these key points. If you apply early, your benefit starts lower, and it's lower for life. Cost of living adjustments or COLAs are going to magnify the impact of early or delayed claiming. The higher your benefit, the higher your annual inflation adjustment's going to be. The when to apply question, it really impacts survivor benefits. So the higher earning spouse should delay the start of benefits to increase income for the surviving spouse. The higher benefit will be preserved regardless of which spouse dies first. Delaying benefits is like getting extra life insurance that you don't even have to pay for. So I went through a lot of facts just now. I'm going to go through a little quick knowledge check. I'm going to pop up another poll question for you. What is primary insurance amount? Your benefit amount when you take Social Security, your benefit amount at full retirement age, or the amount of insurance coverage I have. I'll give you a couple more seconds. This one's confusing. It is your benefit amount at full retirement age when you take Social Security. So it may look like that's what you're going to get whenever you apply, but at full retirement age, that is what your PIA is. If you take it before, it's going to be less. If you take it after, it's going to be more. Okay, so let's talk about spousal benefits. These are not just for non-working wives anymore. The Supreme Court has ruled that same-sex marriage is legal in all states. This means same-sex couples who are legally married are also eligible for spousal and survivor benefits, the same as any other married couple. The rules for spousal benefits. The primary worker must have filed for his or her benefit. The spouse must be at least age 62. They're going to receive a reduced benefit or full retirement for the full benefit, which is half of the worker's benefit. So primary worker, the person who is working in the household, must have filed for his or her benefit, and then the spouse can file at age 62 or later. Take it at 62, it is a reduced benefit. The maximum of the spousal is 50% of the worker's PIA, primary insurance amount. Spousal benefit is based on worker's PIA, not the actual benefit. So if the spouse takes their benefit early or late, it's based on the PIA for the spouse. No delayed credits. So if your spouse delays until 70, you're not going to get delayed credits for that. You have to have been married at least 1 year. There are some exceptions to this if the spouse is receiving spousal or survivor benefits at the time of the marriage. That's what the situation. So according to the rules, the spouse of a worker is entitled to Social Security and may claim a spousal benefit. Entitled means that the worker is eligible. So the person who is working is eligible for Social Security and has filed for his or her benefits. Then the spouse can file for spousal benefits. Here's our example. Jack and Jill are married. They're both 66. Jack has paid into Social Security all of his life. His primary insurance amount is $2,400. Jill has never worked. Once Jack files for Social Security benefits, Jill can file for her spousal benefit. Jill's benefit is going to be 50% of Jack's PIA, or $1,200, as long as she applies at her full retirement age. If she takes it earlier, then it's going to be reduced depending on when she took it. But the maximum eligible spousal benefit is 50% of the PIA of the spouse who worked. Okay, so we're going to look at some spousal strategies that you could employ. When should each spouse claim benefits? As a married couple, the amount of income that you will receive and the total amount of benefits you stand to receive over your lifetime are going to depend on when you each originally claimed your Social Security. So there are several ways you can go depending on your goal. Do you want maximum lifetime benefits over your projected life expectancy? So you'll be taking less income now, but so that you can have more income later. Or do you want to claim Social Security at your earliest opportunity? This is going to give you more income now, but less income later. I don't generally recommend this strategy because when you start out with a lower benefit, it doesn't do a very good job of keeping up with inflation. Some couples like the hybrid strategy, which we're going to talk about. It's going to give you some income now and more income later. So this first strategy, Jane and Joe are both 58. Jane was the higher income earner, so her PIA is $2,400. We're going to assign her a life expectancy of 85, that's about average. And Joe also worked and paid into Social Security, but his PIA is $800. We're going to give him a life expectancy of 95, which is possible. We're going to input these factors into our Social Security planning calculator. We're going to see what it tells us. We've got a couple of scenarios to go through. So scenario one, both claim at 62. So both are going to claim early at the earliest possible age, which is 62. Jane's going to file and her benefit's going to be $1,680. So she's getting 70% of her benefit. And then Joe's going to claim on his own record and Jane's record at age 62. So his record, his was the 800, so he's going to take that reduction, and it's going to be 560. And then Social Security is going to add on the spousal benefit, and it's going to be a reduction as well because he's taking it early. So let's look at the opposite. What if they both claim at age 70? They delay as much as they can. Jane's benefit would have an additional 3 years of 8% delayed credits. So her full retirement age is 67. So she has 3 years that she can delay credits. And she can max out at $2,976. Joe's benefit is going to max out at 50% of Jane's. because even if he delays his credits to 70, half of Jane's benefits still going to be higher than his max out. And so Social Security will do that when you go in and, for example, if you went into the office at age 70 and you were Joe, they would say, Joe, the higher benefit that you are eligible for is the spousal. Even though you can claim your own and you did take the delayed credits, it's actually a higher amount if you take half, or the spousal benefit, which is half of Jane's. The third scenario is the hybrid strategy. So they're going to get some income now and more income later. Under this strategy, the higher earning spouse maximizes the benefit by claiming at 70. The lower earning spouse gets some income started by claiming at 62. So Joe is going to claim on his own record at 62. He's going to get 70% of his benefit, which is about $560. And remember, to be entitled for a spousal benefit, the spouse has to have claimed their Social Security. Since Jane has not claimed her Social Security yet, the spousal benefit doesn't come into play here. Joe is going to claim on his own record because he's not eligible for spousal yet. When Jane claims on her own record at 70, and she's maxing out her benefit, then Joe can add on the spousal benefit. So he's going to call Social Security and he's going to say, hey, my wife has now claimed on her Social Security. I want to add on my spousal benefit. And they'll do their calculation and they'll let him know what it is. It's going to be kind of a combination of his own and hers. So he'll get an increased amount when she starts claiming. So the benefit here, Jane was the higher income earner. She waited as late as she could to take her benefit, so it's $2,976. If Jane passes away before Joe, which our life expectancy was that Joe would live longer, if she passes away first, then he is going to switch from his spousal benefit to a survivor benefit. So it's going to be a higher benefit because she delayed credits, making sure that he's going to have a higher benefit if something happens to her. So this chart compares the three strategies. It clearly shows which claiming strategy is going to give them the most in their lifetime. So assuming Jane lives to 85, that's what this is assuming, and that Jack lives to 95. These charts do not include the cost of living adjustment, so it's just strictly looking at benefits. So the first option was they both claim early, and if Jane lives to 85 and Jack lives to 95, total benefits approximately that they're going to take out is about $934,000. If they both claim later, so waiting until age 70, then they're going to get, $1,117,000. If they do the hybrid strategy, where they're getting some income early and more income later, it actually gives them the most income. So this is why it's really important to run a customized analysis for each couple. Every couple has a different 35 years of earning years, different circumstances. No couple is the same in what they've earned and what their situation is and what they need. So some couples really need to take income earlier, and determining which person should be claiming is something that we help with, and which strategy is going to get you the most out of Social Security. This is the chart I really want you to pay attention to, especially the women. If your husband dies first, let's face it, statistically likely that your first year survivor benefit will be lower if your husband claims his benefit at 62. Women live longer on average. In this case, our husband outlived the wife. So Joe's survivor income would be about $23,000 a year if Jane had claimed at 62. This is what he would be receiving if she passed away. But if she had waited, if they had both waited until age 70 and she passed away, then he would be receiving about $35,700 a year. If they had done the hybrid strategy, it's the same. So this is where that survivor benefit is really important to focus on, because when someone passes away, one of the benefits is going to go away. The larger benefit is the one that we want to stay. And in this instance, there's not a big difference in living, the income that you have coming in. So really important to think about who is the higher earner, who do we think is going to live longer. I mean, it's not always easy to determine that, but you can look at things like age, health of family, health history, and then you also look at who has the higher benefit to answer this question. So the three scenarios shown, maximum, earliest, and hybrid, they're not the only ones available to you. If you have other ideas about when to claim benefits, we can run those scenarios. These are just a couple of the common ones that we see, and the common questions we get asked is, what if I claim early? What if I claim late? And then the hybrid is just one that we create for each couple. So I'm going to pop up another question for you all that I get asked quite often. Is Social Security taxed? This is going to pop up for you. I'll give you guys a few more minutes. Okay. So it looks like a majority of you know that yes, Social Security for most Americans is taxed. The taxation depends on your income. You can, however, use some strategies before and after you retire to limit the amount of tax you pay on Social Security. For most people, it is going to be taxed to a certain extent. And that's part of what we'll talk about in our Social Security planning session that we're going to offer everyone on the call today. But the likelihood of your Social Security being taxed is pretty high. The percentage of how much that depends on income. Okay, so let's do a quick review of Savvy Social Security planning. So the first thing that you want to take in mind or keep in mind is to make claiming decisions as a couple. It's not as easy as I'm retirement age, I'm going to fill out the application and then I'm done. You really want to do some planning around what is going to make the most sense for you as a couple, not just you as an individual. You want to take advantage of spousal benefits as rules allow. And there are different rules depending on your age, but the spousal benefits are something that you want to make sure that you understand. You want to plan for the surviving spouse's income. So think about what happens if one of you or after one of you passes away. That spouse's Social Security check is going to stop. So assuming the surviving spouse won't want to drastically change their lifestyle, he or she will need to find income from other sources to meet expenses. So you have to determine where is that income going to come from. If one of our Social Security checks goes away, do we have enough in assets in other places to sustain that income? So there's some planning that you want to do there as well. Finally, you want to integrate Social Security into the rest of your retirement plan. Social Security is not enough for most people to live on. It wasn't meant to be. It was meant to be a supplement. And so you really want to take into consideration your pension if you have one, other retirement accounts, investment accounts, if you have real estate, and look at also, what type of income is that? Is it coming from pre-tax sources? Am I going to be taxed on it? And how does that play into my Social Security planning? So we can help you to design a comprehensive retirement income plan that integrates Social Security with the rest of your resources. This is one of the number one things that we help our clients with is, okay, you have Social Security, you have your retirement accounts from your job, your 401k, your 403b, your PERS, and then you have your investment accounts. Maybe you have a piece of real estate that's going to be paying you income. So how do we make all those pieces work together to maximize income in retirement while taking into consideration your taxes? Because that's another big piece that people tend to forget is, how do taxes play into all of this? Okay, so now you know some of your options. The question you're left with is, where do you go from here? How do you take these strategies and put them into use in your own planning? How does the earnings test and taxes play into your planning? Meeting with us, we have a really fantastic Social Security analysis that we go through. Many of you are clients, some of you are new. If you're not a current client, we're still offering you the opportunity to come in and do a Social Security analysis with us. It's just a really important thing to start thinking about, especially if you are on the brink of claiming Social Security or thinking about claiming Social Security. It's a good thing to go through. And we look at, what is your benefit versus your spouse's benefit? Are there other benefits that we should be thinking about as well? Is there another survivor benefit or a divorced spouse benefit that we need to look at? Put them all together, and then we'll give you a couple different scenarios. Usually here's the scenario that's going to get you the most out of Social Security. Here's what happens if you take it early. Here are a couple of hybrid opportunities that you have. So take advantage of it. I'm going to be ending a little bit early tonight. I'll give you back part of your evening. But before we do our Amazon card giveaway, we're going to take a few minutes for questions. I know I saw a few come through.